episode 5 of Cast to Oblivion. I'm one of your hosts, Carter Barton. I'm joined by the cooler Ziggy Starlight. Zach, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Carter?
I'm doing great, man. I love this set. I love everything about it. Draft and Sealed have been an absolute blast.
Yep.
All the art absolutely knocked out of the park. You can tell they just put a lot of love into the set. And after having Super Slam and Compendium in a row, where it was just kind of like a set that not everyone was a fan of, and then Compendium not being draftable, it is so refreshing to have a draft environment.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think I did some drafting today. We're recording this on Saturday. I did some drafting on Saturday, and I was messaging a friend of mine. I was like, if I would have to rank the recent draft sets or my favorite draft sets, I would put Omens, High Seas, Rosetta. Like I think like those are three of the best
Oh, okay.
draft experiences I've ever had, and I think Omens is, in my opinion, I think it's a better set than High Seas.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but again, I could see why people say that they like high seas more. So like I think this format, I think seeing this format at Nats and seeing this format at Pro Tour and see it develop is going to be super interesting because there's a lot of like nuance with lightning flow generation management things like that as well. But it's a super fun set.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's just something to be said about the fact that the majority of sets with a macro have been good draft
Yeah.
environments, because it turns out that allowing your game designers to produce a card that specifically alters sealed and draft and does not have to ever be tested for classic constructed or other constructed formats is a good way to allow your designers to kind of like break the mold, right?
Yeah.
Um, it started obviously with Rosetta, which is just like, okay, we're finding it an issue where, people are dying too soon in draft and sealed. So let's give them like a one-time get out of arcane free card,
Yep.
so to speak. And then high speeds,
High seas.
high seas, which arguably I think is my favorite macro. Treasure Island is just such an interesting play
Oh
around
yeah.
card, and it just completely alters the environment in so many interesting ways. And then of course now with the third age, with
Yeah.
giving Spell Void as a way to use your Lightning Flow tokens to exchange them for life total seems pretty good.
Yeah,
So
and it creates a weird, and not a weird, but it creates a really good give and take between generating lightning flows for a proactive way to activate hero ability and almost being reactive with like, okay, I have these flows available to me, I can use them to prevent arcane damage and use them as like that additional health or resource there, and maybe not be reliant on hero ability or things like that as well,
yeah,
and finding that give and take. But also at the same time, because there's that give and take, there puts a lot of premium on lightning flow generation. So like if you
yeah,
can get some of those Star World Warning, I think I talked about this
yeah,
card when we did our
yep,
uh, our sealed is like, it's like pay one, make two lightning flows. That's really strong, especially at instant speed. You're not relying on hit or other things like that, and then you have that additional one floating if you pitch a yellow. You have an additional two floating if you pitch a blue. So there's some unique things you can do in that regard, which again I think it's gonna be really cool to see this set drafted at Nats, drafted at Pro Tour. I think it's gonna be one of those sets we look back in a couple years, things like that, and be like, that was a lot of fun. They did some really cool things, especially with an all arcane or all arcane focus set. You can create some dangerous, lack of a better term, play styles where it's like, oh, people just kind of get burned down, but I don't think that's the case.
yeah. Obviously, neither of us are testing this out similar enough to pro players, right? I'm sure pro players are grinding the heck out of this format. Um, I haven't been able to make a few drafts I've been invited to in the last couple of weeks, and I feel awful because I would love to make these drafts, but life gets in the way sometimes. Uh, there was a deck in Rosetta Sealed and Draft, which was just like arcane damage verdants, that
Yep.
was extremely, extremely strong, and it was just like extremely hard to deal with. I haven't seen that yet out of Omens. Like I haven't seen like a way to draft one of the three heroes just seems egregiously overpowered or unpreventable or just like an inevitable way to win the game. Um, because of the lightning flow generation, right? Like it has just felt very, very solid throughout. I think it's cool because each hero you can kind of play in a different way, where you can draft cards that are your hero ability in a card form. So, like for instance, with Aurora, you can draft a lot of the cards that say your next attack gets go again, right?
Yeah.
And then you can kind of circumvent having to activate your hero ability, and that allows you to save your lightning flows as spell void. So there's like ways to play all three heroes where you kind of just either ignore your hero text and just use lightning flow tokens as spell void, or you use your lightning flow tokens as your hero ability to present damage to your opponent, so you don't have to spell void. And it's cool. It feels like there's a unique way to draft each hero, and not just one way, but like two or three.
Yeah.
It doesn't
And I think
feel
that
like there's any
too.
one card that I've seen that have been like, oh wow, this is like unplayable in any of the decks besides Blue Brush Off, which that card will always be bad.
Yeah. I think that card hat like it you have to have the red, you have to have the yellow, so you kind of need to have the blue around for the cycle. But I think one of the things that's super interesting with this set is because um it's a single talent set, like you can stay open really comfortably and just be like, hey, I'm gonna take this lightning card. Okay, what else is gonna come to me? I'm gonna take this lightning card. Okay, cool. And like you can kind of find and settle into a seat pretty early. But like, if you get a pack one, pick one, and you're like, hey, this is a great Ziggy card, I'm gonna jam it. Cool, great. And if Ziggy doesn't come to you, you can pivot out of that.
Yeah,
There's enough comfort and flex, especially in that first pack, that you can be like, okay, I can pivot out of something, or I can find comfort in something else.
yeah,
So it's just like finding those little edges, I think, is so important, that we sometimes forget about, like how to draft and how to play. And it's like I think sometimes we think about like draft at the highest level, you need to like maybe hit these certain check barks and things like that. But it's like, if you're a new player and you're learning draft and you're learning how to draft Flesh and Blood compared to Magic, like different drafts, very different styles. Yes, you're still doing the same thing from a mechanical point of view of picking a set of cards from a pack, but what you're actually building and how you're building your deck is different in that regard. And it's important to understand, like, hey, there are things that you need to do fundamentally in Flesh and Blood drafts, and I think this really tests that. Of this, like, you can't just force, especially in a 3 hero format and things like that. But it's a lot of fun.
yeah,
Macros are fantastic additions to sealed and draft environments.
yeah. Magic would never. Honestly,
No,
they just wouldn't. And that's why we play this game and not that game. So,
that's true.
how you feeling about expansion slot cards? How you feeling about kind of some of the new additions to Classic Constructed?
I mean, I think we've talked about this offline, but the Puffin cards seem really, really strong. The Draco Fire card for Fi and Syndra are really strong. We had this. No, we didn't have this conversation. I had this conversation with some other friends of ours, but I was saying that I think Fi is a really strong deck. Draco Fire helps that deck out a lot. The issue with Fi is nobody plays him,
Yeah.
so he's just gonna stick around forever, which is gonna be really unfortunate because I think that deck is like it's my go-to Sage deck,
Mhm.
and that deck is just really enjoyable to play, and it's rewarding. It's not just like I put down things that say go again and are red. Like there's a little bit nuance to it. It's like, hey, how are you pitching to be able to swing with something, maybe swing with weapon, something else, hero ability, Phoenix Flame. Like how are you doing that weaving, which is
Mhm.
super super nice. But I think expansion cards as a whole, I know it's great that we have them. I think this we can probably talk about, just talking about how sometimes it feels like lately like heroes are underpowered when they're released,
Mhm.
and expansion slots are the things that kind of give them their full power. So it is a little sad that we aren't getting like full power or fully fleshed out heroes on release. I think we can talk about that with Aurora, New Acilio, Ziggy to a degree, compared to decks like Syndra had all of her tools when she came out and hunted,
Yeah.
and she didn't really have to like wait for something else to come out. Puffin had to kind of wait for a couple tools here and there to kind of really really start to hum. I think we're going to see that with the Super Slam heroes. So it's different design philosophy, but I think it is exciting that we have expansion slot cards for players who aren't necessarily excited about the set, to know that there was maybe some type of support for their heroes in that set.
Yeah. I've been really enjoying it so far. Classic Constructed is obviously what half of nationals will be this season, the other half being draft. Uh, I think that some people would be very vocal about certain opinions on a few decks that we'll be talking about today, which we'll be diving into in a bit. Our episode today will be our first official Cash to Oblivion tier list. I made a whole like little graphic and everything. This is gonna be great. Or not graphic per se, but like another scene here. So I'll switch over. This is like the greatest transition in history, right? So I'll switch over to our tier list here in a bit. And as you can tell, we have our LL heroes already, and then Rudy, Gemkeeper, because it's funny, already added to our list. But today's episode, Zach and I will be covering every classic constructed legal hero that you can potentially play for your nationals coming up in the next month. And obviously, Minnesota is hosting nationals this year for the United States of America. So we will be attending that in a week, which is very exciting. By the time you guys are listening to this, it'll be the week of, and therefore, potentially we'll be seeing some of you at Nats.
Come say hi if you see us. Come say hi and be like, hey, you guys have terrible takes, or you guys have great takes, or something in between. But I think we're gonna break down the tier list as like, hey, what are we thinking that we're gonna see at nationals, the strength of those decks, and then normal tier list, things like that, and kind of talk about weaving in and out, prep for Nats, things like that, decisions we've made, deck building philosophies, things like that as well. Kind of just weaved in throughout as we talk about these heroes as we go. Might be on the shorter side, might be on the longer side, depending on how much yapping we do on some of these heroes as well.
Some of these heroes are definitely going to be add them to the list, say a few sentences, and then move on. So we will be going from Welcome to Wraith all the way to Omens of the Third Age. Starting off with Bravo. Zach, where you have Bravo here?
He just like, I don't know. It's not bottom of the barrel, but it's
yeah. So we will be going on an S, A, B, C, and D tier list. D tier being don't play. C tier being play if you enjoy that hero, and if you understand that you are probably not going to be in a favored position for the majority of your games. B tier being, I think, kind of like dark horse decks a lot of the time. Decks that have the potential to have a good matchup into a few of the top S and A tier ranking. A tier being, solid decks that have a decent spread. And then S tier being the decks to beat, the decks that if you don't do any research heading into your nationals event and you just want to net deck, these are the heroes that you should just play because they're good. Bread and butter good. Yeah. So Bravo starting off strong. It's not strong. Weak. He's C tier, right? Like there's so many other Guardians that you can be playing right now. And by other Guardians, I mean Victor. I'd even argue
a case for Jarl, but that's a different point.
I'd even argue like Betsy is better than Bravo.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. But that's a different point.
Yeah. So whatever. Not very much to say about Bravo. Yep. Dorinthia, Iron Song.
I mean, she's better than Bravo.
I don't think she's C tier right now. Like, I know that's weird to say, but
B. I think B, low B is fine for Dory. Like she gets a little extra support with a little off the side, so Hatch's build gets some benefit there. She can do multiple unique things. She's presenting like long enough chain links and things like that as well that she can kind of just get there. She's very, very, very value oriented hero, which is fine. And then just like understanding that, again, I think this is a deck that's just like, if the pilot understands what they're doing, and I think because Dory came out almost 7 years ago,
that's insane.
There are enough new players in the game who don't know what Dory does. Even like experienced new players don't know what Dory does or how to play against it. And they're going to get punished, which means that you can win some games you shouldn't win. And I think alone, B tier is just a solid spot for Dory.
Yeah, I mean, Dorinthia also benefits from your opponent not knowing what weapon you're bringing in.
Yeah.
Because you could be Dawnblade Dorinthia, you could be Hatchet Dorinthia, you could be Decimator Great Axe Dorinthia, right? Like you have options, and your opponent doesn't necessarily know what you could be doing heading into your Swiss round game.
Yeah.
Does that mean the deck is like unbeatable or anything? Absolutely not. Like I think this deck probably folds to Victor. It probably loses to Marionette as well, which we'll be talking about in a bit here. But it turns out when you're a warrior and you don't have many attacks in your deck, you're not going to be winning clashes.
Yeah.
And clashing is a very good mechanic right now in the hands of Victor. So, rounding, well, not even rounding out. It's crazy to think that Welcome Wraith has 4 legal heroes still. We have Reinar.
Yeah, Reinar's same thing with Dory.
I
can do a strong thing.
Yeah.
Probably a little stronger. The thing that makes Reinar good is it forces decisions early because of the Intimidate mechanic and forces you to make a decision, commit to something you have an instant or something like that. It also forces you to play in a weird way to make sure that you arsenal the react and doing those type of things. You can present some pretty big damage on Reinar. Blood Rush Bellows, again, good card. We've seen really, really strong Reinar players have success. We don't have enough really, really strong Reinar players to have this deck be more than B tier.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that Reinar is targeting some of the better decks in the meta right now more than Dorinthia is, which is why I'd rank him higher. Block cards are terrible if you have them intimidated. So if you have a block slop deck like Victor, turns out that if you just like intimidate him twice and you hit one of his block cards in his hand and you strand that in his hand for the next turn, it feels so good, man. Like, I don't know, intimidate is a nasty keyword, and it's just so. Into some decks is terrible because they just want to keep their whole hand anyway, so they're not blocking you. Into any deck that has cards they deliberately want to block with, Reinar is always going to be like a weird dark horse that can kind of just win games. So I would agree. Rounding off Welcome Wraith, we have Katsu the Wanderer. I mean, I would rank him probably above Bravo, below Reinar and Dorinthia.
Yeah.
Like he has decent matchups into some of the like A tier decks in the pool. I'd argue he's obviously fairly strong into Gravy Bones. There have been some new lists that I've been seeing lately that are just playing like weird combo lines that are kind of out of the woodwork, and it's doing fairly well. Again, Katsu is always going to be one of those heroes where if you are a one-trick pony Katsu player, this deck will do fine. So, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be anything absolutely insane. But, I wouldn't be surprised to see at least like one Katsu player day 2 at a Nationals event.
Yeah, Katsu, one of the things that's nice about Katsu is, again, if you're a specialist, if you know what your deck does, and again, this deck's been around for 7 years and people don't know what the deck does, you're going to get additional edges. I think also Katsu kind of can do the Reinar thing of target certain like A and S tier decks, but kind of just like fall apart against some other things. So like it doesn't have all the pieces. Katsu's been hit with a bunch of different bans that were none of his fault, so he's just always going to be that type of hero, which is unfortunate. But I do think low B tier, that's exactly where he belongs.
Yeah, the thing about Katsu too is that he's gotten a couple cards from Compendium, like the new arms that like search your deck for a Shuriken, that are pretty cool. Like there's a number of ways you can play him.
Yeah,
I've seen like Edge of Autumn lists. I've also seen Kodachi lists, obviously. So pretty neat. Moving on, we have Bolton. I have not done enough research on this deck to understand where it is at this point in time. I think obviously one trick pony Bolton players are good. I think that combo Bolton is probably the way to play the game right now. Maybe. I just don't know how good it is, honestly.
I think combo Bolton folds to anything that sneezes disruption in your general direction.
Yeah.
If you're just throwing numbers at combo Bolton's like, cool, this is great. I can set up all day long. I can do whatever I need. If you are throwing disruption and making his life a little bit harder, cool, whatever. However, the new Blessing of Aegis
Mm-hmm.
and the support that Bolton got in Compendium has made this, in my opinion, a more consistent deck, a very aggressive deck, and can punish a lot of other decks. Additionally, you have cards like Blunton and Kabuto,
Sure.
which can
Yeah.
give you good matchups into things like Mario, which helps your edges there. So for me, it's a high B tier or a low A tier deck
Would you put him above or below Reinar?
above.
Okay, I think that's fair. Not by much. I think those two probably belong kind of next to each other. That makes sense
Yeah,
to me.
they do a similar thing. I think combo if you're just bringing a pure combo Bolton deck to Nats, hope you gotta hope you dodge all the disruptive decks, and you can have a really good day. I don't think if I want to have a good day on Bolton, I don't think I want to be bringing combo though. So
Yeah.
it's just decisions you have to make. I think again, Blessing of Ages, all the support that came out from Compendium makes this deck really strong, aggressive. Also, the nice thing is Bolton, all of his cards on the bottom right hand say 3, and 3 blocks are good. So if you need to, you can just turn your hand sideways and just figure it out later. Like
Zach,
that's okay.
Zach, that's profound knowledge. Cards that block 3 are good. Did you say we were gonna give
When
like?
you're in an aggressive deck, you're like, huh, this hand kind of sucks. And you'll block that. Okay, cool.
Did you say we were gonna give bad takes today? That's a good take.
I said we might have bad takes.
Levia is next. Our other legal monarch hero. I would argue that, unfortunately, since KO hit Living Legend, not having Mandible Claws and the potency of Bloodrush Bellows in Levia is just. I don't think there's any reason to play the deck anymore. It's really sad, right? Because like, Hellhammer is a really cool weapon. She has a really cool Demi Hero card, but I don't think I want to bring a deck that my hero ability is to stop myself from accidentally dying to my own effect. So,
Yeah, seems right.
enough said. Fi, we were chatting about this a little bit earlier. I don't think he's A tier because I think I'd rather play Syndra right now, but I definitely think he's like probably high B. Like I'd rather play him than Bolton right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, Draco Fire carries a lot of weight. Um, Deck is good. Nobody plays him. I don't know where that puts him out on a. If we're talking about from like a pure strength point of view, I would say A. I would have no problem putting him in A
Like low A.
because not a lot of people are going to be on Fi unless for some reason I'm completely wrong. I think he's a B tier hero if that makes any amount of
Sure.
sense.
The reason I'd rather play Syndra over him is primarily just because one has Flick Knives and the other doesn't, and Flick Knives ends games that might not end otherwise.
That's true.
I think when you're playing Fi and you're attacking into decks that are good at blocking, it can be really annoying sometimes to try and get over the top of their blocks and their equipment suite. Syndra always has the extra axes that she plays on, which is like I'm doing one unpreventable, with quotation marks, damage every single turn.
Yeah.
And if I do this
I do
enough, I'm gonna win.
Yeah. I do think Fi can set up an end game state where they can get around those blocking decks. I think it requires you to build your deck in a very specific way that kind of takes away some of your strengths in other areas. And I think kind of like what you're saying, I think that makes Fi the worst pick compared to Syndra. Like just on paper, 1-to-1,
Yeah.
because Syndra can kind of present that flick knives damage, things like that. Fi's just not as strong and consistent in that
Yeah.
regard because it requires you to make certain deck building decisions.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I just don't know if you have enough slots right now in order to target the field as a wide hole. Arachne Huntsman, I think solid, like mid A tier deck.
Yep.
Remembrance is the bane of his existence, but if you are playing into decks that are bringing in Remembrance and your Hunter or Hunteds line up into their Remembrances and you just like sneak through and you start chipping away at their deck, I mean this card single-handedly can win the game sometimes into specific matchups where it's just like if you hit their power card and you hit all 3 copies, the game's over.
Yeah.
Like if Huntsman ever plays into a Victor and hits visit the Golden Estate or visit the Goldmane Estate, it's just over.
Yeah.
Game's finished. Like, you might as well just concede if you're the victor player at that point, especially if their game plan is to remembrance back copies of that card and get to an end game state where they're making 10, 15, 20 might tokens or whatever. So, I don't know. Huntsman's just strong. It targets decks on a completely different axis, and that's good. So
Yeah, perfectly okay with that.
Yeah. Azuri, the worst assassin. I would rather
He's
play her than
better than
Levia,
Bravo.
and I think I might rather play her than Bravo, but
I think
not
she
by
does a
much.
really cool thing.
Yeah.
I think her hero mechanic and swapping cards in and out and that stuff, I think that's cool.
Is it?
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Yeah. Is that a reason to play the deck right now? No.
No.
Sadly.
Is it fun to do at an armory to bring in an Azuri and do that? Awesome, cool,
Yeah.
go for it.
I mean, I've played my fair share of that hero. It was the first hero I ever played at a pro tour, and
Didn't you bring Wreck Havoc to said pro
yeah,
tour?
I had 3 red Wreck Havocs in the sideboard, and those things popped so many dragons that weekend, Zach. It was great. Anyways, I'm gonna move Levia down to D tier for don't play, because someone has to be there, and currently it's her. Riptide. I think this hero is B tier.
That seems fair.
I don't know if I'd rather play Riptide than Dorinthia, but I think I definitely would play him rather than Katsu right now.
Yeah. I think one thing that's interesting about Riptide is Riptide can operate on 2 different axes. Riptide can operate on the I'm going to go aggro, all out, 0 for 4 Cheerios type list with kind of really, really frustrating on hits with your inertia tokens, blood rots, and frailties. Or they can kind of do the more fatigue, block out, hold the line, for the lack of a better term, with all the traps. And obviously in between that, there's opportunities to play around with that. And I think it does a similar thing that Dory does. It's like you sit down against a Riptide, you go, okay, is this aggressive? Or is this going to be miserable and I'm going to have to play intelligently to play around the traps?
Yeah.
And if you have to play around the traps, it's going to make your life a little bit more difficult if you're expecting aggro. If you're expecting to play around traps and you got aggro, it's going to be the same thing. And I think that just gives Riptide a couple edges, which is good. I think Riptide is probably, if I would have to take a Ranger to an event, would be the one I want to bring. But we can talk about that when we get to Morrowind.
I think Dreadbore also just accidentally wins games sometimes. Yeah. Dreadbore into like Arachne Huntsman is backbreaking. Like, it's so good into that hero. Sometimes you just like catch them with a hand with 3, a Fate for Sea and a Shelter and a Sink, and they just go, wow. Yeah, okay, I guess I'm taking 12. Anyways, pitch 2 red D-React, swing dagger, pass. Like, yeah, that's bad. We got Prism next. First Dust Till Dawn hero. I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily put her A tier. Prism is such a weird hero because I have not put enough reps on it to understand when this hero is good and when this hero is bad. We have a local who's extremely, extremely well versed on Prism, and it feels like every time I think Prism is bad, Logan King shows up and wins an event. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I think A is fine. I think Prism does a strong. I think the thing that sucks about Prism is she starts at 32 health. Like if she started at 36, or if she started at full health 40, S tier, easy, cool, whatever. Move on to the next thing. Like, don't even have to think about it. But like that health discrepancy forces her to make decisions that other heroes don't necessarily do, which means you're kind of playing and operating off different levels. I think, what is it? The new Herald of Victoria.
Yeah.
The one that discard.
That card's legit.
-1. It's also at 2 for 7 at yellow. I think that helps the deck out a lot. I think there's some really unique things you can do with the Lumina hood, the helmet, from the Armory deck that was in Gem Pack. Yeah, I think there's some unique things you can do with that, with like ALS looping. I think the more Prism has existed, the more skill expressive the deck has become, because the deck has just gotten exponentially harder as more expansion cards have come out. Angelic Intendant is just a really, really good card. blocks 3, which helps kind of some of your not great blocking hands because you run such a high density of instants that can't block between your angels and the ores that you want to run, things like that. So there's some unique things Prism does. I think Prism is solidly an A tier hero. I don't. I think I could probably get the reps back on to feel comfortable taking it into an
Yeah.
event, but like right now, if you're like, hey, you have a week to prep Prism, I'd be like, I don't have enough time.
Yeah. I mean that deck always wins events when it's able to target 2 or 3 different things and it doesn't have to target that wide of a field. Whether or not Nationals is going to be a wide field will be seen in a week after US Nats, right?
Yeah.
Because US Nats is going to be the first one, and then every other country's Nationals event is going to be afterwards. So a lot of the competitive decks out of Omens of the Third Age are going to be at US Nats. It'll set the stage, and then I would actually see decks like Prism potentially winning other Nationals events, but maybe not necessarily.
Yeah. I could definitely. I think Prism's definitely one of those decks that can win like, like a 96 player Nationals events.
Yeah.
I think just because it's a small enough field, you can maybe know your Nationals a little bit better that you can find success, and you can hedge into that on a certain level. I think those bigger events that U.S. Nationals is a big event. It's the size of a pro tour, if not bigger. That's where it gets a little bit harder for a deck like Prism to get there because there's going to be there's B tier decks that kind of just like are really good into her, but she's doing good against the A and S tier heroes, and she kind of just like slides out in a way.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because like the wider the pool, the worse Prism is.
Yeah.
We'll see how wide the pool is. Vincent, our other Dusk Till Dawn hero, I think might be my candidate for first. She's either high S or high A or like bottom S.
She's the top of A. She is the top hero of A, or she's S tier. Yeah. Like whatever, however you want to define what that is. She got really good help in Compendium. I think she does, being able to present multiple things. She can kind of string together some really, really big combo turns. Like she's disruptive when she needs to be. She's preventing high amounts of rune chance, sometimes even them being unpreventable, so you can link damage through. There's a lot of things working in Vincent's favor. I think she's got solid matchup spread near the top of the meta. Like she's in a good spot.
Yeah.
It's taken her a very long time to get there, though.
That deck just requires a lot to pilot. Of the S tier decks, I would argue she is the one that requires the most practice. Understanding when you need to fat deck in a certain matchup so you don't get fatigued, understanding when you need to set up triple or quadruple gates, or if you can just kind of mid-range matchups and just send like 1 or 2 gates per turn. Like it's tough. That hero, no matter how much support Vincent gets, is always going to be a difficult hero to play. So yeah, but she is definitely deserving of like a strong S tier deck. So
yeah.
We got Dash.io next, heading into Bright Lights. I'd argue it's an A tier. I'd rather play her than Prism right now, unless I was like a really good Prism player. I think I might rather play her than even Arachne, honestly. Just if you understand the Teclopounder game plan into fatigue lists, you are just able to put a plasma mainline or whatever it is on the table, and then you get extra counters on your pounders, and then your pounders allow you to go 6 to 10 damage over the top of these decks like 3 turns in a row, and then they die. So
yeah, and I think the thing too that's good for Dash is Dash runs enough 6s that she gets good matchups into Prism, so she has good poppers there. She also like might incidentally just win a clash or not make Victor not win a clash, and sometimes that's enough as well. To deny that gold generation or some of those other additional values you're going to get off the clashes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's one of the solid aggressive decks in the format right now, and think she's fine. Max Nitro, unfortunately, I would argue is probably low C or possibly D tier. I don't know. The only players Mechanoid, I've seen.
If you get time to set up the Mechanoid, what? Like, remember how I said Azuri hero ability is fun, and that's C tier. That's good enough for C tier. Mechanoid, if you can set it up, that's also fun. So I think that's good enough for C tier.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think Max right now is like, why would you play Max Nitro and set up a construct micro mechanoid? I'm saying this terribly wrong. Micro mechanoid. There we go.
Mechanoid.
I got it.
It's not micro, just mechanoid.
Is it mechanoid?
Yeah.
Whatever, man. Okay. Anyways, why would you do that when you can just play Teklevasen? I think Teklevasen's endgame is just like infinitely better than Max's.
But is Teklo C? I don't think Teklo C.
I would rather play Teklevasen than Max right now.
Same. But I think I would rather play Teklo than Bravo or Azuri or maybe even Katsu.
Ooh, that's a hot take. I don't know. Like, he's somewhere in C tier. I'd probably play him above Bravo for sure, and I'd probably play him above Azuri just because, like...
I mean, I think just, like, some of the tools he's gotten over the past, he has... I mean, Teklo's... The good thing about Teklo is he's had an expansion slot card ever since he's come out, so he's bound to be good eventually. You have enough M's in your deck, you just, like, the density of it gets good. Yes, his endgame is incredible, but I also think that now he can get to that endgame state, and he can get, like, set up and be efficient with his like defensive value, that like he's a solid deck. But like it's hard for me to sit down and be like, yeah, that's gonna be the deck that wins US Nats or any net. Like he's not there yet.
You would have to go on an absolute tear to win US Nats with Teklo. You'd have to have every matchup that you possibly want that you have boarded forward to. It's very similar to Prism, right? Where it's just like you don't have enough sideboard slots to target everything. So when the meta is small, Teklevasen does better because he's able to like, essentially make his sideboard better into 2 or maybe 3 different playstyles, and then can cover those matchups. So yeah, I don't know. I'd rather play him than Azuri and Bravo for sure. But
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Moving on, we have heavy hitters. Obviously, the menace of the format, the guardian that everyone's scared of, it's Betsy.
I mean, Betsy, I think has crawled her way out of the dungeon of D and C tier.
I would rather play her than Azuri. I would rather play her than Bravo. I think I'd rather still play Teklevasen, sadly.
I mean, I do think Log is really good. Log gives you an actual thing you can do.
Yeah, that card is like...
I think...
Yeah. It's
Betsy,
good.
like, again, the Guardian kit, the Guardian tools, your Spinal Crushes, Terra Sundos, etc. Victor gets all of that, and Golden Estate and Golden Sun.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no reason to play Guardian, Betsy.
Yeah, I think Betsy might surprise some people out. Maybe one makes day 2, something like that. But, maybe... If one sneaks into top 8, I'm like, okay, hold up, what's going on here?
Yeah. I honestly think that's impossible, and it's just simply because if you are wagering into Victor with your log, it is so bad. It is.
Oh, I don't think you can wager in that matchup.
It's impossible. I think why. So.
Like, you're gonna wager into Victor, like that just feels like a bad value proposition.
Yeah, and Overpower doesn't do anything into how many block cards and equipment he has. So, yeah, I mean, she's just like every card in her deck is a blue and a blocks 3, and all of her reds are like of mediocre quality. Her equipment suite's fine. She's a guardian, like whatever. She's gonna do guardian things. There's just no reason to play any guardian except for Victor right now. You could maybe make an argument for Pleiades, but as long as like Remembrance exists, your end game as Victor is better than anyone else's end game potentially in Flesh and Blood.
That's fair.
I'll
agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's obviously some insane end games from older decks that have hit Living Legend at this point already, but like Victor end game it's just filthy. I'm so surprised they didn't hit Remembrance in the BNR, because that card is just egregious at this point.
Maybe they're gonna,
I don't think every class in the game needs access to a generic shuffle 3 actions back into your deck. Like, I think I just don't. Something that's...
Yeah.
Like, classes should have to be given those cards. Like, Katsu has, visit the floating dojo or whatever, right? Where it's just like put a Surging Strike and a card with combo on the top or bottom of your deck. Okay, cool. That's like class locked. That's Katsu locked. Awesome. Remembrance is just so free. I'm so sick of this card, man. I don't know. It just feels like an arms race too, right? Because like it gets to the point where it's like, oh, if my opponent has 3 Remembrance in their deck, and I don't have 3 Remembrance in my deck, then I lose. So I'm also going to play 3 Remembrance. And it's just like this stupid arms race of like, okay, well, you're on 3 Remembrance, I'm now also on 3 Remembrance, and now all of us are just playing 77 card decks with 3 Remembrance automatically included, and it's just so boring. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that to say Victor is bad because he's playing
And
Remembrance?
Victor's
No.
like, I mean, Golden Sun, Overpower, plus whatever, like, awesome, cool, go for it. It's just unfortunate that I feel like a lot of Victor's success, it's kind of like what you said, is on the back of Remembrance and being able to cycle in your gold main estates and things like that, and getting that multiplicative value that comes with it. Like, it's
Yeah.
just like,
I'm sick of it.
cool.
I'm sick of this
Yeah.
crap, man. Boring.
Yeah.
It's boring to watch. It's boring to play. The games are long. Unless they like high roll you, in which case it's just like, okay, I made 12 mites on like turn
I'm dead.
5.
Yeah.
Overpower something. Do it and like do it again. You're dead. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
For warriors of heavy hitters, though.
Yeah, we got
Olympic, no, Kasai.
no, we got
Kasai's
Kasai.
A tier.
She,
Kasai feels A tier.
I would argue she's like higher than everyone else in A tier right
Yep.
now. This deck's really good. Valiant Dynamos is like a hell of a card into any aggro matchup. Her new expansion slot card that makes the Centauris from Super Slam is just obscene. Riches of Tropeldani, allowing you to have gold creation without your opponent being able to interact with you in like matchups into like Fatigue Jarl or whatever, and basically making it unwinnable for Fatigue Guardians to win is crazy. This deck's broken, bro. And I'm biased, right? Because like Minnesota has so many Kasai players, and they're all good. Every one of them is just like a nut job at this deck. But I think it's deserving. Like it's just so. Every time I think that deck like loses to something, they figure out the matchup.
Yeah.
What more to say, right? It's it's the classic Merrick special, being my friend who he's like, oh, I think the Verdance matchup's cooked or whatever, and then like he texts me not even a day or two later in our Discord and goes, okay, I figured it out. If you put like 3 Sigils of Solace and 1 Arcane Polarity in your sideboard, it's winnable. And I'm like, okay, I trust you, Merrick. Pats him on the back. It's just like,
yeah.
Okay, boss. Other warriors, I'd argue Olympia is probably D tier. No matter how much support this hero has gotten so far, it is not going to eclipse the amount of support that he is hopefully getting in Mastery Pack Warrior.
And his armory deck.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, once he gets his actual weapon that allows you to convert your gold into value, like all of a sudden this does become a real deck. Until then,
I think it becomes like a B tier deck.
Yeah.
I don't think it jumps up beyond that, but I think we're gonna see it shifting. I think right now we have pretty big gap between S and A tier decks to B tier. I think there's a pretty big gap there. We can talk about how big the gap is between S and A tier decks. That's a different point, but like I feel like we're gonna see things kind of compress and get a little the gaps between tiers are gonna get a little smaller.
Yeah, it's just rough right now when every deck in the game that creates gold has a game plan with it, except for Olympia. Like even Betsy at this point, like actually uses her gold to do things. Like her helmet obviously allows you to wager mites and vigor tokens by sacrificing gold. But like Olympia, you put like a pretty mediocre to good token on the table and you just don't, it doesn't convert to anything. You can't sacrifice it for any special effect besides this new spec that allows him to, re-equip armor. It's not like it's doing much. It just sits there. So
yeah, once
he actually gets some like ways to use gold, he'll get better. Cool. We have our last remaining Rosetta hero. We have Acilio Constella Intelligence. Where would you place this at? Because you are a resident lightning child.
The deck was S tier. I think we can all agree on that. I think now there are 2 different versions to play the deck. You're kind of doing a little bit more oops all arcane or you're going to slide a little bit more into combo and embodiment generation. I think both of those decks have value, and you can play either one of those and you can find success at that. I think most people are going to be expecting combo and embodiment cycling and things like that. If they side in and then you just hit them with Oops All Arcane, you just kind of win that matchup from there,
Sure.
which is pretty awesome. I do think a little bit of testing I've done with kind of like, tweaking the list that I had. Yes, you lost COV, you lost Somersault. You can still do some pretty nasty things though.
Well, you lost
And a
Volzar.
couple tools, yeah, and that's the big one really. Let's be honest. Like you can't amp to that same level, which means you're not going to be able to do the disruptive mind work for 4 on a hero that has AB1. So it's those little things like that you kind of lose out on. So I think it's low A. I think the deck is still strong. I think you can do strong and powerful things. I don't really see it in that B tier group, but it still can do a powerful thing. Gone in a Flash is a
Yeah.
hell of a
Gone in a Flash and Blast to Oblivion, plus the Lightning Greaves, right? Like that line is still there. It just no longer has that potency of Activate Volzar, Amp a Billion, Arcane over the top for like 15 to 20 or whatever. It's just now it's like a 30 to 40 damage physical turn or whatever, depending on how you set it up. So
You're throwing the physical, and then you're sending again. You have a lot more options to zero cost shocks.
yeah.
Granted, those zero cost shocks are coming in for 1 or 2. They're just pings at this point, but it allows you sometimes to send Gone in a Flash again, and maybe it stripped your opponent's hand, and you leaked in 13 damage, and then from there, you start to kind of just be consistent, and you get there. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing I've noticed.
So I guess my question for you, right? Like, if Old Acilio is an A tier, I mean, from where I see it, I would still argue that you should just play New Acilio if you want to play at least Tall Arcane, right? Like
I think
you get extra life.
there's a tall arcane version of Old Acilio that I think is more explosive than what New Acilio is doing.
Sure. I mean, we'll get to New Acilio in a bit here. I'll leave Acilio 1 at the tail end
He's
of
A
A tier.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ira, Scarlet Revenger. We have, I think our second ninja behind Fi. I mean, I don't know. I would argue she is like,
She's B tier.
yeah. I don't know if I'd play her over Fi. Honestly, it probably depends on the list. I would play her over Bolton for sure. Mid-rangey goodness is where she thrives. I think into decks like Victor that have like Test of Iron Strength or whatever that card is that makes you discard. I think that Ira maybe suffers because usually her game plan revolves around like Kadachi or Edge of Autumn into attack with go again into finisher. And giving them a nice clear window to have you discard your finisher just seems like a way to lose the game. Does that deck still win games because her hero ability is just consistent value turn after turn? Absolutely. That's probably enough said. Like, there's been some cool builds I've seen. I don't know. You can like play Become the Bottle after attacking with your Edge of Autumn, and then you can play the Edge of Autumn arm piece that allows you like sacrifice it and then give I think +1 to your attack, and then whenever one of your vengeance things hits, you get to re-equip Edge of Autumn. So you can sacrifice your Become the Bottle. It's cool. I don't know. It's neat. I like Ira. Whatever. Jarl, you know, if you would, if you will.
I think Ira's just mid range. She's just mid range deck. That's okay. She doesn't do anything fancy or super cool, but there's some unique lines that are presented to her, which is fine. But so again, if we look at the density of heroes that we have, like she's not beating out Fi. Like, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. Like there's nothing she does that is like next level that puts her into that A tier.
Yeah. Jarl Vertrady. I don't know, man. Everyone keeps telling me this deck's good.
I don't.
But
yeah, I mean, Felony of the Crown's a really good card, and you have access to Rootbound.
The matchups just seem like really, really polar. Like it feels like if you ever sit down against a Kasai, you lose.
Yeah.
But if you sit down against, I don't know, like
I think you do well into like
yeah,
all those B tier like aggro decks, and I think all like those A tier and above aggro decks, it forces you to like you can kind of just be like, oh, I sit down, I'm URL, I'm playing a Fi, I win. Not much
yeah,
to it other than that. You sit down against a Dio as a URL, like, oh, I gotta actually play this right.
yeah. I don't know. That deck is just like it's just so many bits and bobs right now. It doesn't really
Yeah,
feel like it has necessarily a clean
identity.
build or identity. The cards are just all good. Channel Lake Frigid and Channel Mount Heroic for the more aggressive builds are cool. Belling of the Crown is obviously still egregiously good, and so is Plowender. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say like high B tier. Like, that's good. Uh, Arachne, slip through the cracks.
Remember when his deck was S
Uh,
tier?
yeah, well, remember when Bonza Agony was in the game?
Yep. That's a big reason.
The new card that allows you to cut down allies more easily might actually make this deck a lot better. I would rather play Slip Through the Cracks over Fi right now, just because I think attack reactions into block heavy decks are good.
Yep.
Namely, like I would rather play Slippy instead of Fi if I was playing into Victor. Right? Because Victor's playing like 2D reacts max. He's playing like 2 copies of Fate for Scene or 3 copies of Fate for Scene, whatever, or maybe like Shelters. Nothing crazy. So, Syndra, I would definitely play this ninja over any of the others in the game right now.
She's A tier.
Yeah.
She's high A tier. I think I'd play her over Dio.
Would you play her over Huntsman? That's a tough
I mean,
question.
they're very different. They're very different decks.
Yeah.
They're on different
I don't know, probably like right here.
yeah.
A lot of these A tier decks are going to be kind of interchangeable. It just depends on your matchups. So,
Yeah.
take our tier list with a grain of salt. Obviously, we're not speaking from understanding the future or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Syndra's a very A to B deck, and if she gets to do her game plan, she wins games.
Yeah.
Fang, our final Draconic hero. I'd put him maybe like low B tier.
That seems right. Like mid B tier. Fang, I think, gets a little bit of help of Draco Fire. I think the two ninjas use it better. I would put Bolton over Fang. I would play Bolton over Fang.
Ooh,
Um,
okay. I'd
I
play
think
Raiden Bolton over Fang. I would play Fang over Combat Bolton. That's my hot
that's
take.
fair. That's fair. Um, I think Fang also has a super linear game plan. I think if you can delay Fang's ability to get to 3 fealties, you can kind of get edges into that
Yes.
matchup, or if you
Yep.
can disrupt in some type of way. Because Fang, does not pitch super well. Like I think there's some unique things that Fang does. Long Whispered Loyalties, super cool card. Uh, little things like that.
I mean, even like his specialization is it like
Yeah,
brimstone and whatever. Like if you have a
Fire
big
Brim.
if you have a big turn with fiery brimstone, that card is really cool. Obviously, like Syndra's specialization got banned, right? Like Fang gets to keep his. So I mean, I don't know. That deck plays at 5 intellect if you have 3 fealty tokens, and that's just like very strong if you can get there fast. Marionette,
And it also allows you to block in that situation. But yeah,
surprise. I would say S tier. I don't know.
yeah,
Probably above
above.
Inset, below Marionette.
Yeah,
Deck has seen some bans. Those bans have done not very much to dissuade people from playing this deck.
I think it's changed how people have built the deck.
Yes. Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. It's just the math and numbers are still so good. Graphene Chelicera is insane. Tarantula Toxin with Kiss of Death is insane. If you ever roll into Black Widow and can give a Kiss of Death go again and then flick it, it's insane. So I don't know.
I mean, there's also like we don't talk about this enough, but um,
this deck is
the
just
headpiece. If someone's marked and you block with the headpiece, and then you choose what you which
Yeah.
you switch into, that's just like that whole mechanic is just like, oh, the variance built into my hero that allows it to be fair and balanced. Yeah, okay, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Let me just like choose what I need in this moment and then kill you. Like,
Once per game, getting to either start the game with Chalistra because you choose Orb Weaver, or get your like one time, oops, I rolled into Arachne Trapdoor and I want an actual hero ability going to my turn, so I'm just gonna swap heroes real quick. It's so annoying, dude. That helmet is so good. I don't know. I would define Marionette as a deck that feels really bad when it high rolls you, but when it mid rolls you, it just feels like an A tier deck. Like,
yeah,
it's just like solid numbers, really annoying to block, has a lot of attack reactions. I mean, whatever. Has some cards that counter it. If you ever ripple away an Orb Weaver
yeah,
Spinneret, it's insane. Like their turn just kind of ends sometimes. So,
true.
uh, decks that used to target Marionette, Gravy Bones. I think he's definitely
Top
A
of A,
tier.
top of A.
You think top of A? I put him behind
I
Kasai.
think the Psy has a good matchup. Um, into Gravy, I think Gravy has a better matchup into the S tier decks than Kasai does.
It's weird. Marionette just got that new card that like kills allies, so that matchup's
That's
like
true.
gotten a lot better for him all of a sudden. Uh, I have not seen the Gravy Bones into Victor matchup. I imagine that Gravy Bones having his hook is really, really annoying into the Victor decks that are trying to stack gold. If you're just
Yeah,
presenting enough breakpoints every single turn. So, I mean, it's a tale as old as time. Allied decks or board state decks are good into decks that cannot produce a lot of action points and attack a lot.
yep,
So, yeah, I'd say high A. I don't know if I'd play him over Kasai or not.
yep.
So, I don't know.
All
It
right,
just depends on what
Marlon.
matchups you want to see. Where do you want to put Marlin? It's either high B or low A. I don't know. Like this deck, I would rather play her over Riptide.
That's fair. I think the new Harpoon's cool. I think one thing that Marlon struggles with is she has a super linear game plan. Wants to pitch two blues, be able to load, send a harpoon with overpower, chip in, disrupt, repeat.
Yeah. Once you get
So she's
disrupted.
prone to bricking. She does the Runeblade things, and sometimes she can just brick, and she doesn't have the harpoon, or she doesn't draw into it off of the three of the kind, or whatever it may be. Like it's gonna happen. It's 100% a possibility, and I think good Marlin players that know how to hedge that and be able to be like, hey, I'm gonna break my gold, keep this golden harpoon off
Mm-hmm.
hero ability, and then use that as my last ditch effort if I need it to be able to kind of reset and go from there. That's strong. Um, but I've played a couple just like testing games and Talisher games, things like that, and sometimes they just slow down and they give you space, which means that you have time to come back, and then you get that momentum that you need. So
Yeah. For a deck that pitches like on average 6 to 8 resources a turn when they're in the driver's seat, if you ever take the driver's seat from them and don't let them have it, it just kind of is over.
yeah,
I don't know.
or if you can just like prevent their on hits from mattering.
Yeah. Once they run out of
Like they
gold,
go fish, they're looking for this thing, and you're like, oh, I have one non-attack action in my hand. I'll block with that one. Oh, your go fish does nothing. Anyways, here's my turn. Like
yeah. It's
that's when Marley falls apart.
it's tough, right? Cuz that deck can high roll the crap out of you.
Oh yeah,
If they see like their 3 of a kinds and their big game hunters or big game trophy hunters or whatever early, and they just like present like 13 to 17 overpower and get the on hits and produce the gold, like that deck, sometimes you just like your game's over by turn 5 and you're just like, I don't know what just happened, but Marlin just murked me.
yep,
Those games aren't fun, but a lot of the time Marlin just doesn't do that. So yeah.
agreed.
Overpower is also not dominate, notably. Wise wisdom from Carter. Puffin. If I had my way, I would put her up here in S tier, but it's
I was gonna
not
say she's A
true.
tier.
I
Um,
I would argue she's still B tier.
I
Uh, I would play her over anyone else in B tier because I'm biased. So where would you place Puffin, Zach?
I mean, like again, I said I think she's A tier. Like
You
I
think
think
so?
the new cards that she got are really strong because there's the one that searches the copper card cog on hit, which means that you can play that out crank, send something else at your opponent, or maybe draw a card if it's your second um, crank that turn, things like that. I think some of her consistency has been smoothed out,
Sure.
which is really strong. I'm not really sure on the scrap card yet. That's the
It's
one that I'm not.
so good.
Yeah,
It
again, I know it's good, but I haven't seen it like the same effectiveness that I've seen with the search for a copper cog, play it
so
out, do the thing.
at worst, it is a yellow that you pitch or a block 3. At best, you have put it into your second cycle, and at the end of the game, it's a 0 for 5. Because if you just block with your other 3 cards and you attack for 3, go again, you make a gold, activate Puffin, shoot gun for 2. It's a 3 and a 2 for 1 card. It's so good. I love this card.
That's good.
So,
Okay, so it gives you
a little extender.
extender. Okay,
It's
that's fine.
essentially like a better soup up in, or it's like a circumstantially better soup up.
Yeah, and I think it also like those two cards allow you to drift away from the boost game plan, which gives Puffin more of an identity and gives you like not reliant on just boosting
Yeah.
and just trying to be an aggro deck. You can find mid range value turns. You can use your Zeppelins in different ways. Like there's that type of interaction going on. Like I think that's good. And again,
Yeah.
A tier feels right for me.
The funny thing with that card, both cards too, is they can be played in the boost variant, and they're still fine. So, is what it is. Volda.
B.
I don't know where
I
in
play her
B.
over Jarl.
I'd like put her next to Jarl.
That's fair.
Dominate's a really good keyword, and if you like proceeded to build your deck with a lot of the Guardian Mastery Pack anti-Guardian cards and just strictly targeted Victor, I think you could do really well.
That's hilarious.
If you just get like the correct matchups. If you miss the correct matchups, your deck still can maybe high roll people. I don't know. She's good. I'd probably play her over Jarl, but that's just personal preference. Dominate's
That's
a good
fair.
keyword.
Yep.
Hala, I've seen some deck like okay. I was playing Armory
fun.
like a week ago, and I think I looked up at the screen, and there was a Hala who was like 2-0 in some calling. I was like, okay, I don't know how you got here. I've been playing this deck casually, and I just don't think it has the chops to beat the majority of any of the aggro decks in A tier, and I think you lose your end game to Victor. I think you lose the majority of close games to Marionette, and I think you can beat Vincent. I'd put her in C tier. I would play her over Max and Olympia and Levia. It's just I don't think I would play her against or over anyone else in C tier. I'd rather play Drinthia.
That's fair. That's fair. I think Hala can do a cool thing. Flurry tokens are cool. The sharpen mechanics cool. Like all of that, awesome. I think she struggles with the fact that like there's not enough flurry generators in the deck to be able to find the consistency that you need to be able to go the multiple chain links wide with your sword.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Tier. Like I think that's the difference between her being in C tier versus B tier.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. Moving on to Super Slam, KO.
RKO.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about this deck in a long time.
I think you get outmathed by all 3 S tier decks and a
Yeah.
lot of A tier.
I think maybe somewhere in B, but like C feels better. If that makes any amount of sense.
I'd put him like here.
I play Bolton before.
Okay, maybe here.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know.
Would you play Reiner or?
I'd rather play Reinar.
Yeah.
And I'd probably rather play Dorinthia, but I think right here is right.
Yeah, that seems right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that like where Cheeto is, Riptide and Katsu. That's like B.5 tier, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lyeth Goldman being our other reviled hero. I would not put him in B tier, but I would probably actually put him at the top of C.
I mean, like,
Is that stupid to say? I don't know. That deck is
no, I think the fatigue variant is fine on a day one event, and then people figure out, oh, you're on fatigue Goliath. Okay, I need to do X, Y, Z, and then you
yeah,
kind of lose your games.
yeah.
I think the more aggressive version is more fun.
It's just worse. Sadly, it
This
bricks
is not as good, which is unfortunate.
it bricks harder.
Yeah,
I think it has worse matchups. I've played this hero a lot in the last half a year, and I think that in context of the new heroes from Omens, I think that Lyeth actually has a decent matchup into all three, uh, which is an argument for another day. But I just don't think that those decks are going to be prominent enough for Lyeth to gain anything as a result. So
that's fair.
Pleiades being our other Super Sun Guardian.
I hate to say this.
Low A,
No, really?
high B.
I feel like I feel like okay. Which version of fatigue is better, Lyeth or Pleiades?
Lyeth right
And
now,
then
but the moment you get Remembrance, Pleiades
okay, cool.
becomes better.
That's the future. This is the now. Like fatigue variant, Lyeth's better. Aggro or more tempo version of Pleiades just isn't real. Like I hate to say it, but I think she's down hanging out with Max and Olympia.
You think she's unplayable? I I think she's better than Bravo.
That's fair. Okay, that's true.
I
That's
don't
true.
know.
Maybe drop down a
I'd put
level.
her behind Teklo.
That's fine.
And maybe that's like wrong to say because maybe someone has figured out a way to like play her in the current meta, but
I mean, I just feel like her fatigue version isn't as good as Lyeth's fatigue version, and I think her stringing together confidence and suspense ores and doing that thing, you can just like, okay, you do the thing, you hit your turn, you disrupted your opponent, you drop your hand, like this is garbage.
sure.
Like the
Yeah.
deck's fun. I played a good deal of Pleiades when she came out,
She's
and I was
cool.
more on that more tempo variant. Um,
All right.
but
Enough about
he's
Pleiades.
right.
We only talk about pretty people here. Tough Nut. S2.
I have
No,
no idea.
uh,
Every single time I've played against this hero, it's felt like they've done nothing and then they've blown up. So I'm the wrong.
I don't know, man. People keep showing up with this hero and winning, like, day twoing things. And I'm just like,
Yeah, they
how?
day two things and then they don't do anything after that.
I don't know. Maybe,
Would you
like,
rather play Tough Nut or Riptide?
I would rather play Tough Nut.
There we go. Okay.
Right here.
Easy.
Hang out with his buddy, his good old reviled buddy, KO.
Just two brutes.
I don't know, man. Tough Nut's hard to. Tough Nut's hard to get a read on. I have a lot of friends who play him, and he's pretty cool. I think he's really fun, but I don't know. Again, like you're
I
getting,
think the rock thing is awesome because it
yeah,
does the unpreventable damage.
you're getting mathed out by a lot of decks. Like anything that can race you just kills you.
Yeah.
So that's fine. All right, and we have three heroes left, and it's the ones that everyone is probably like asking about.
Yep.
Are these heroes going to matter? Aurora is first. She is worse than her original counterpart.
Yep.
I think that is correct to say.
Yep.
Now, the question is, are people going to try and show up and play her as an aggro deck?
Yes.
Or are people going to try and play her with like
Quick
15 to 21 blues and actually play like
Flesh and Blood?
cards that cost resource?
Okay. I think Aurora, if you just put together like, oh, I'm gonna aggro 0 for 4 Cheerios pile aggro, like you can do that better with a lot of decks that we've already talked about.
Yep.
If you do the thing with Aurora, I don't say you necessarily need to make embodiments of lightning off her hero ability, but if you do things to enable that type of game plan, I think she's like better than Dory.
Sure.
B-tier.
I think I would rather play Aurora than all of the decks in B tier. I think she's either high B or low A. And the reason I would argue this is because despite her not having the same card pool as the original, despite a lot of the A tier aggro decks just probably being better because they have a more consistent game plan at this point, her card pool is just still good. Arc Lightning's a really good card. Tempestuous Kiss is a really good card. Lightning Press is a really good card, right? Like, yeah, and people have started figuring out like the end game too with the new like ominous instant that you can essentially recycle a Gone in a flash so you can't get fatigued. Cool. Like I wouldn't have ever thought about that tech. That's sweet. So yeah, I don't know. I think she's like high B.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna show up with her. Some people are gonna day two with her.
I think people are going to, I think again, she's gonna be a very popular hero. I think she's very fun to play. She doesn't have the strength there yet, and I think she's suffering from like I'm gonna call it the compression expansion issue right now. Is just like the top decks, your Victors, Marios, Vincent. I'm gonna throw Gravy in that as well, or just their power level is just a little bit above what everyone else is doing, and
Sure.
Aurora is part of that what everyone else is doing thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
B tier feels fine. You could put her, all the way up and down wherever you want, and we can get really specific, but
yeah,
I'm fine with top of B. That's
all right. All right, Zach. Share with the class. Buff Cilio, where are we?
Bottom mid B.
Bottom to mid B.
Yeah, so if you're trying to do the oops all spells thing, it's better in Acilio one shell. Sure. Because you can just be like, this hand sucks, and then you discard an instant, you automatically turn on Volzar, and then you do some type of shenanigans. Pretty good, and then you draw under a card that you can actually use a little bit better. One of the things about new Acilio that's kind of a struggle is he does need flows because he does want to get cards into grave to then be able to get the Starfall effect to trigger, so you can kind of get the additional chip damage through.
Yeah, and then you ponder.
And then you make the ponder and you do things like that. Right now, your flow generation is a little hard, and you kind of just get run over by anything that's aggro.
Sure.
You're pretty good in the mid range and the fatigue decks, regardless of what build you're on.
Where would you place him?
2 or 3. I would put him next to Fi.
Okay.
Not Fi. Fang.
Like here?
Yeah, that feels right for me.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah. But again, I think the deck is going to have a lot of exploration over the next 6 months or so. I think he's going to be a deck that rewards understanding what you're doing and how to utilize Storm Striders in a way that isn't always, oops, I'm going to kill you now. I think that's where Acilio is going to shine, for the lack of a better term.
All right. And then we have last, but certainly not least, Ziggy Starlight. I think Ziggy is an A tier deck.
Same.
Where in A tier, I do not know.
Same.
Everyone and their mother keeps talking about the stupid reality refractor list, and it's just board state dot deck and yada yada yada, and I don't know, man. I wish Aphrodite was playable.
I think it is.
It's such a cool weapon.
Tools around to make it playable right now.
I mean, I don't know. I'd place Ziggy like right next to Prism in like the Schrodinger's Illusionist.
That seems fair. And you're below Arachne in that state. I think what's going to happen though, it's going to be the same thing that happened with Gravy at US Nats last year. Is people know this deck can do a cool thing. They don't know what that cool thing is. And a strong pilot and someone who understands the hero and has done the testing to put themselves in that position to be successful is going to show up with the deck. They're going to day 2 or even top 8.
Okay. I think that's a fair... Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, and the one thing that I wonder with Ziggy is I think Ziggy can surprisingly have a good Victor matchup depending on how clashes and some other things work out. Because we've talked about, Victor doesn't have a lot of access to a lot of action points. The question is going to be like, how do you deal with like the Gravy matchup, and what's your Mario / Vincent matchup looks like?
Yep. Yeah, I think any deck going into U.S. Nationals, or any Nationals for that matter this season, needs to answer 3 questions, and those 3 questions are, Victor endgame, Marionite aggressive / numbers, and Vincent combo, right? Like, if you have the ability to sideboard or tech into those 3 questions, or maybe 2 of the 3 questions, I think you have a very good argument for the deck you should be playing. So,
yeah.
There's our tier list. First of hopefully many. I'm happy with this.
Yeah.
I think this is a fair assessment. We'll most likely do at least a recap after US Nats and how it went.
Yeah. I do think just looking at this as a whole is like, if you're like, hey, I want to prepare something, if you choose something in S or A tier and you feel competent and comfortable with that deck, you should be able to find success more or less. It is probably the best way to describe that. B is you more or less need to be a specialist, and then we've talked about C and D tiers, and then obviously Rudy down there being Rudy.
Don't bring Rudy. You might get disqualified.
Oh, okay.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm happy with this. This is a good list. I think we have come up with a very competent first tier list. I hope there's no like outlier on here that we just completely missed. I also hope we didn't miss any heroes. I think this is all of them.
I believe it is.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I believe this is every hero who is legal in Classic Constructed now. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Cast Oblivion. Please continue to support the show if you enjoy our content by hitting the subscribe button on my channel, Revel and Wraith, or on Zach's channel.
Sigil something.
Hit the like button, react,
do the things,
write a comment,
share with a friend. Tell us what hero we're absolutely wrong about. Like,
share with a friend. That's like the number one way you can support this channel is showing a buddy who also plays Flesh and Blood, or maybe I don't know, showing your grandma. Maybe she plays Flesh and Blood. She can play Victor. That deck plays itself. But without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys in probably not next week's episode.
Probably 2 weeks.
Probably 2 weeks from now. We're gonna be recovering after US Nationals. So thank you guys so much. We will see you guys like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.